You're watching Behind the Screens. Grab some popcorn, fill up a drink, and take a seat. Our feature presentation is about to begin.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you may be listening. Welcome back to another brand new episode of Behind the Screens. I'm Chris Chason, and joined as always is my co-host and best friend, Mike Lickowed. Mike, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing very well today, Chris, and I'm very happy to be back for another movie segment of Behind the Screens with the next installment of the Fox X-Men universe, continuing it to the 2010s with 2011's X-Men First Class.
Another day to talk about this movie since it's being St. Patrick's Day at the time of the recording of this podcast. The luck of the Irish is on our side because X-Men First Class is a far cry better movie than Origins Wolverine.
Exactly. X-Men First Class basically was the film that brought the franchise back into the public's eye like never before after some rather okay and average films. Basically finally seemed to breathe new life into a series that many comic book fans had felt had kind of lost touch with what it was set out to do. But
you could say that.
This one certainly did not disappoint.
Oh, yeah.
Released in 2011, directed by Matthew Vaughn, as well as co-written by him. The film's story was actually co-written by Bryan Singer, who held the first two movies, but believe it or not.
But he didn't direct?
Nope.
Crazy.
Bryan Singer co-wrote the story. He co-produced it alongside Simon Kingsbury and the late Richard Donner's wife, Lauren Donner, who was basically a long-running producer of all of these movies.
Right.
The film is primarily set in the year 1962. This is the beginning of what I would call the X-Men prequel quadrilogy. Basically, a series of 4 films among these 13 which take place in the past and beyond, basically. But we'll be sure to clarify what that means later on. The film primarily takes place in the year 1962 during the Cuban Missile Crisis and focuses on the very still fresh relationship between Charles Xavier and Eric Lensher, aka Magneto, as well as the origin of their respective groups as we saw in the original trilogy, the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Right. Respectively,
they're both dealing with the Hellfire Club led by Sebastian Shaw, a mutant supremacist bent on enacting a frickin' nuclear war. Which I'm thinking is like, okay, those are pretty big stakes. I love the early 60s. I love nuclear war plots, and I love superheroes. So I'm pretty sure that this one had a lot of stuff coolness stuff for me.
Oh, totally.
So you guys know the drill by now. We're going to get into the plot, talk about the characters, the film's achievements, and then our own personal thoughts to wrap up.
Oh, yeah. And get comfortable because there's a lot of expository talk.
Yep. So without further ado, let's dig into 2011's X-Men First Class. We go back once again to 1944 at the Auschwitz concentration camp where Nazi officer Klaus Schmidt witnesses the young prisoner Eric Lensher bend a metal gate with his mind upon being separated from his mother. This is very much a callback to the scene from the very first movie that basically opened the franchise, where we saw the origin of Magneto. And of course, this one actually expands upon what we saw, with us cutting now to Klaus Schmidt's office as he orders Eric to move a coin on his desk. And of course, when being put under so much pressure, the young Magneto simply can't use his mutant powers again. As such, Klaus Schmidt brings his mother into the office and threatens to kill her if the young Magneto cannot move the coin. And it's so tragic because you want him to move the coin because you know just how powerful he becomes so many decades later. But Eric is unable to do it, and Klaus Schmidt murders his mother right in front of him.
Yikes.
It's like, oh my god, it was so horrendous. It's like,
that's crazy.
What a way to start off your movie. In grief and anger, the young Magneto's magnetic power manifests and killing 2 of the guards and destroying the entire room. Which of course shows that, yeah, Magneto's power is fueled by his emotions. Which I'm thinking is like, okay, that's actually pretty neat. It just shows that his powers are a part of himself, no matter what happens.
Pretty much.
And of course, they're mostly brought out when he's enraged, which is pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Separately, we cut to a mansion in the Westchester County in the state of New York, where the child version of Charles Xavier, who is still able to walk, I kind of joke the fact that, was he born with the wheelchair?
No, of course not. He had to get the wheelchair somehow.
I know. I just like the really funny joke right there. This actually introduced a very interesting plot line that was very much slated directly into the movies, something that was revealed only as the film series went on. The young version of Charles Xavier meets a young version of what's her name? Mystique, that's it. I'm not sure why it just slipped my mind right there. So, a young Professor X and Mystique meet as children. Who, of course, we see that Mystique's natural form is a blue-skinned, scaly little creature. Overjoyed to meet someone different like himself, he then invites her to live with his family as his foster sister. So basically, Mystique and Professor X are related in these movies, technically. It's so weird.
It's a little bit.
I mean, it's very unique. I'll definitely give it that. It definitely gives us a very much unique spin on the characters that had never really been seen before in comics or anything up to this point.
Yeah.
We then cut to over 18 years later to 1962. Eric is tracking down Schmidt to avenge his mother, while Professor Xavier is earning his doctorate from the University of Oxford as a professor of genetics. In Las Vegas, CIA Officer Moira McTaggart follows U.S. Army Colonel Hendry into the Hellfire Club, where she sees Schmidt, who now calls himself Sebastian Shaw, with a mutant telepath, Emma Frost. So, yeah, this movie introduces a bunch of characters super fast that had never really been seen before, and firmly solidifies, yep, this is Emma Frost, and she is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you this much. And, of course, Sebastian Shaw is, the character of Klaus Schmidt and Sebastian Shaw, played by Kevin Bacon, correct?
Yep, that sounds about right.
It's crazy to see Kevin Bacon in a comic book movie, and doing such a great job of it, too. I was just blown the heck away. Basically, alongside Emma Frost, is the cyclone-producing mutant Riptide and the teleporter Azrael. Threatened by Shaw and teleported to the joint war room, Hendry advocates deploying nuclear missiles into Turkey. Sebastian Shaw, an energy-absorbing mutant whose powers have de-aged him, later kills Hendry after he has served his usefulness. Now, many of you guys are probably wondering, wait, didn't we see Moira McTaggart in X-Men 3, and she seemed like not 70-ish years old?
Yeah. What?
And it's like, yeah, that's basically the least of the continuity flubs that these movies would later introduce. Let's just face it, the storytelling of all 13 of the films together isn't very great.
Yeah.
But it's really just best to look at the films in their own special groups, like the original X-Men trilogy, the prequel quadrilogy, so on and so forth.
Right.
Moira, who is now seeking Xavier's advice on mutation, takes him and Mystique to the CIA, where they convince Director McCone that mutants do in fact exist, and that Sebastian Shaw is a threat to the entire world, not just America. Another CIA officer sponsors the mutants and invites them to the secret Division X facility. Moira and Xavier find Shaw as Eric is attacking one of his ships, and they rescue the young Magneto from drowning. Sebastian Shaw escapes, sadly, but the young Professor X brings Eric to Division X, where they meet young scientist Hank McCoy, now played by Nicholas Hoult, as well as a bunch of other actors. Okay. The young Magneto is played by Michael Fassbender, while the young Xavier is played by James McAvoy, right?
Yep.
And these two are stellar together.
Yeah.
I don't know where Fox got the idea to hire both of them, but it was the best idea ever.
We'll discuss our differences soon enough.
Yep. Okay, so this is where we see that Hank McCoy was one of the original X-Men in his very, very nerdy youth with those glasses and that haircut. Let me tell you, like, I love Nicholas Hoult as much as the next guy, but he's not one of my favorite actors. He's fine. He delivers a lot of passion with his stuff, but him as Hank was perfectly serviceable. Basically, we see that he is a mutant with a prehensile feet who believes that Mystique's DNA may provide a cure for their appearance so that they can lead somewhat of a normal life. Charles uses Hank's mutant locating device named Cerebro to seek recruits against Sebastian Shaw. And it's really cool to see the original version of Cerebro right there in all its shiny white glory.
Yeah, in 60s format, but whatever.
I love the 60s aesthetic so much because that was where the X-Men first was founded. Like this would have been the technology that they would have used, not the futuristic early 2000s technology of the original trilogy. Basically, using the original Cerebro, Magneto and Charles are able to locate many other mutants to their cause, including Angel Salvador, Armando Munez, Alex Summers, and Sean Cassidy. Now, these mutants are better known as Tempest, right?
Yep.
Darwin, which I think he is so cool.
Yeah.
Alex Summer, who you guys may know as Cyclops' older brother.
Yeah,
right?
but of course he's known as Havoc.
Yeah, and of course Sean Cassidy, aka Banshee. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, so yeah, Banshee is in these movies, if only like one of the movies, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we will get to that later, but still, like the recruitment scene is honestly one of the best scenes in the entire movie, with them basically going around the world collecting people hiding in plain sight as the mutants, and of course one of the best cameos in any Marvel movie that is not Stan Lee. The final person that they go to try and recruit is frickin' Wolverine, sitting in a bar, once again played by Hugh Jackman, who kindly tells them to off. Which I think is so
that's one of the best parts of the movie.
I know. And of course they then go back to the Division X facility after getting all these mutants. When Emma Frost meets with a Soviet general in the USSR and uses her telepathic powers to manipulate him, Charles and Eric capture her and discover that Sebastian Shaw intends to start World War III, triggering the mutant ascendancy. So basically, they're like trying to start a nuclear war in the hopes that all of the mutants and all of the humans on the planet will be turned into mutants as a result.
I guess that works.
I mean, it's like, okay, so you want to jumpstart the mutant DNA train with everybody by nearly annihilating the planet.
This
thing is nuts.
Well, to be fair though, their name is the Hellfire Club, so...
Yep. Azrael, Riptide, and Shaw attack Division X, killing everyone but the mutants, who Shawn invites to join them. And of course, Angel, aka Tempest, played by Zoe Kravitz, actually does turn over to the dark side.
Damn it!
I'm just thinking, okay, so yeah, she was actually a stripper in this movie, right? With, using like her angel wings as like her gimmick.
Yeah,
it's like, that sucks.
Yeah, and also I know what you're thinking. What? But wasn't there already an angel? This is a different one.
Yeah, it's very much a different angel.
I don't get it either.
Folks. So basically, one of the X-Men recruits immediately turns to the dark side.
Great. It's like a fast return for Anakin in the prequel movies.
Yep. Havoc and Darwin attack Sebastian Shaw in the hopes of taking him out. But one of the most controversial moments of the entire 13 films, as well as my least favorite moment in this entire frickin' movie, Darwin is... Okay, so Darwin is a character in Marvel who is literally invulnerable to harm.
Yeah, he can basically adapt his body to live in any situation.
Exactly. But the plot supposedly wrote that he had to die in this scene to motivate the other characters into becoming the X-Men.
Yeah, and what's worse is Darwin's black in this movie.
Yeah, so basically... Wait, so he was not originally black, right?
I don't think so.
No. So they gave a person of color, this role of changing the character to fit a person of color.
He's basically an adaptable mutant.
Yes, and then he is the only one of them who dies. Which I'm just thinking is like, that's really wrong.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't notice that earlier.
Yeah, because with a power adapt into any environment, you'd think Darwin would be freaking immortal.
Exactly. But he should be. But nope, the movie said that he had to die for some stupid reason.
Thanks, Fox!
Yep, and of course, I will say that as much as I adore this movie as one of the best films of the franchise, if that moment had not happened, Lord knows how amazing this movie would have actually been.
Yeah, same here.
So basically, Sebastian Shaw kills Darwin in Moscow. Shaw compels the general to have the USSR install missiles in Cuba, wearing a helmet that blocks telepathy. Shaw follows the Soviet fleet in a submarine to ensure that the missiles break a U.S. blockade. Strangely enough, the helmet looks an awful lot like Magneto's helmet.
Plot points?
Plot point, maybe.
Yep.
Hank uses the cure that he got from Mystique's DNA on himself, and it backfires, giving him the same blue fur and like lion-like aspects that she had.
Yeah, I don't think that's how that works.
No, but you know what? I'm not that mad at it, because it's like, okay, it gives them a much stronger bond, because this movie really sets up Hank and Mystique as being in a romantic relationship.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, definitely. With Beast piloting, the mutants and Moira take a jet to the blockade line, where Charles uses his telepathy to influence a Soviet sailor to destroy the ship carrying the missiles. And Eric uses his magnetic power to lift Shaw's submarine from the water and deposit it on a nearby island. During the ensuing battle, Eric seizes Shaw's helmet, allowing Xavier to free Shaw. However, Eric tells Shaw he shares Shaw's exclusivist view of mutants. But to avenge his mother, he kills Sebastian Shaw, Klaus Schmidt, over Xavier's objections by forcing the Nazi coin from his childhood through Shaw's brain. As I'm thinking, it's like, yo, that is the ultimate epitome of take your actions and shove it.
Pretty much.
Because like in that moment right there, that was basically Magneto's killing the younglings moment.
Yeah,
basically,
and at least he didn't have to say boo to anybody to do that.
Exactly. Like, let me tell you, I love Eric's turn to the dark side.
Yeah, because unlike Anakin in the prequel movies, it's not rushed.
No, it's not. It's allowed time to develop, and you see right from the very beginning of the movie where his story is no doubt going to go. You know he's going to become a bad guy. Even with this film being PG-13, they try to pull as little punches as possible where we see it.
Yeah, it's basically like almost hard PG, almost R.
Exactly.
Could you imagine if this movie was rated R?
Oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine
it.
Eric, upon killing Shaw, officially becomes Magneto.
Oh yeah,
I'm thinking,
the master of magnetism.
It's so crazy, and it's like in that moment, Eric decides to carry on Sebastian Shaw's legacy of a mutant-only world, but on his terms. So it's like, okay, I love that. It's just like, it's so crazy to think about it, because you can see that the hate that was instilled upon Eric at a very young age by the Nazis, and now he's fueled by that same hatred to take out another race of beings.
Well, if that happened to us, I'm sure we would feel the same.
Exactly. Fearing the mutants, both fleets fire missiles at the islands on them from the American and Soviet sides. When Eric turns back in mid-flight, Moira tries to stop Eric by shooting him, but of course he deflects one of the bullets, and one of them hits Charles in the spine, paralyzing him.
Ooh.
But it's like, because that's the thing too, because Charles paralyzing is not even a big movie moment with slow motion and sparks. It just happens. It's something that happens in the blink of an eye, and by the time it's over, you can't do anything. It's already done.
Slow-mo?
No, because like she just shoots, boom, boom, paralyzed.
Oh, I kind of thought it was slow-mo.
It's like, wow, I love that. It's like, okay, sometimes...
Yeah, it is a blink and you'll miss it moment.
Because like once it's happened, this big thing that has repercussions for decades just happens, and it's absolutely nuts.
It's not the way Professor X got paralyzed in the comics, but whatever.
I personally like this.
I do like this though, because it almost gives the X-Men history almost like a realistic approach, because they were at a real event in world history. So
100%. Eric rushes to help Xavier, and distracted allows the missiles to fall harmlessly into the ocean. Basically, Eric was going to let the big nuclear missiles still destroy the world, right? But but I love that his need to make sure his friend was okay was enough for him to stop his nuclear war plan, because as much as Eric wants to destroy the human race for the awful horrors they've done, Charles was still his brother, and I absolutely love that so very much. Basically allows him to fall into the ocean, parting ways with Xavier over their differing views on the relationships between mutants and humans. Eric leaves with Angel, Azrael, Riptide, and Mystique. So yeah, this is how Mystique also becomes evil, by the way.
Great!
She basically chose Eric over her foster brother.
Boy.
Oh, that sucks.
Like,
so
do you want to
bad.
stay loyal to your brother, or go with the bad boy with the awesome helmet?
And you go with the bad boy with the awesome helmet. I swear to God. But then, of course, it's definitely the kind of character that the movie built Mystique around to be. She was not someone who wanted to conform to the ways of society like a lot of women in the early 60s.
For sure, yeah.
She wanted to be whoever she wanted to be, regardless of how anybody, including Charles, saw her.
Yeah.
And of course, after they all go, later a wheelchair-bound Xavier and his mutant brethren are at the mansion, where he intends to turn his home into a school for the gifted, which as we saw would happen in the later movies. Mm-hmm. Basically, Moira Mora promises Charles never to reveal his location and the dealings that they just went through, the big mission that they went on to the CIA, and they kiss. But later at the CIA debriefing, she says that she has no memory of what just happened. So even though she promised never to reveal the secrets and said that she did love him, he still wiped her memory without her consent.
So basically, Xavier was... Well, how should I put this?
He was always an ass like that.
Well, that and also paranoid.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like, I do understand that you feel like you need to take these risks and do these things against people's wishes to ensure the safety of the mutant and the human races. But man, that was not your choice to make.
No, that was just...
Like, that's like you should have trusted her. I mean, thankfully, they do kind of fix it later on down the line in one of the other movies, but not really. It's more or less brushed over there. Yeah. But we will eventually get there eventually. Yeah. So basically, Mora has no memory of ever knowing the X-Men. The world is saved for now, except with a bunch of new supervillains on the loose, so...
Great!
And of course, meanwhile, Eric, along with Mystique and the other Hellfire members, break out Emma Frost from the confinement, and the movie ends with him giving him the title that he will use to bring about the end of the human race and the rise of mutant supremacy. Magneto.
And the fact that he's wearing a costume that's ripped right out of the comics. Red suit, red helmet, purple cape, all that jazz.
This is an amazing prequel. Let me tell you that. It's honestly because I really don't think prequels are the greatest kinds of films to have.
No, because prequels, like, you got to try and find a way to get into the already established original film, but not try to mess with anything, not try to cause any retcons or anything, or set off the continuity alarm.
Basically, yeah. Because the fact matters, this movie does what all of those prequels usually fail at, and to turn out an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Not flawless, of course, but Lord, was it more entertaining than the last two X-Men movies.
Tell me about it.
No shadow of a doubt. But before we get into how we thought of, because yes, I did want to bring up the successes before we got into the cast a little bit. So basically, they first thought of doing a prequel on the young X-Men during the production of X2, with of course the failed attempts to do so with that of X-Men Origins Wolverine and the canceled and the canceled Magneto movie. Brian, basically, although the film does not follow the comic closely, Bryan Singer, who had directed both X-Men and X2, became involved in the project after the release of X-Men Origins Wolverine, but he could only produce and co-write due to his work on other projects at the time. Matthew Vaughn, who was previously attached to direct X3 and the first Thor movie, finally became available to direct a comic book movie, and it was this one. And let me tell you guys, having seen the other comic book movies that Matthew Vaughn has worked on, most namely the Kingsman franchise, this guy is excellent when it comes to crafting engaging stories.
Yeah, basically, like it's one of those films where you're just glued to the screen and don't want to miss anything of what's going on.
Yep. Basically, First Class replaced the Magneto prequel movie that had entered development hell. However, the Writers Guild of America strike gave a story credit to Magneto writer. Basically, so the very first draft of First Class was going to be the Magneto prequel, which is where all the scenes with him and Shaw came into play. So I do like that they lifted something from what was essentially going to be a very bad movie and made it amazing.
Thank God!
I cannot believe that. Okay, basically, they started filming in the late summer of 2010, and they finished around Christmas time with some reshoots having to be taken place early in 2011 before the film's release in the start of the summer.
Was there a reason for the reshoots?
I'm pretty sure they just needed like some additional filming of some locations of such things. Right. Basically, the depiction of the 1960s drew inspiration from a lot of the James Bond films released during that time period.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, from the cars to the clothes to the mannerisms to the overall view of the world at the time, this film nailed the early 60s.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Let me tell you, it's probably one of the best depictions in a film of the 1960s in a modern setting I've ever seen. The film was ultimately a box office success, having been made on $150 million, a massive amount, having made about $354 million at the box office.
Ooh, wow.
So basically, this film turned in a profit of about two and a third times their money back.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all, I would say. became the 7th highest grossing film in the series and received positive reviews from critics and audiences. The biggest highlights of this film, many have said, are undoubtedly its acting, its writing, its direction, the fight scenes, the visual effects, and the music. Almost everything was loved about this movie, except for a few choice things, which we'll get to when we talk about the characters and the accolades. The film's success repopularized the X-Men film franchise so much that, of course, as you guys know, 8 more films were made in the span of 9 years.
Crazy.
With of course, varying quality, I should say.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Let us now talk about a bunch of the other characters involved in this movie, a bunch of the new actors that were hired to play the newer, younger version of the X-Men, starting off, of course, with Mr. James McAvoy as Charles Xavier.
He honestly really nailed it.
I know. I love James McAvoy so much. There is almost no film where he is a bad actor.
No, because he's had some other great movies like Split, the newer It movies.
Yeah, but
am I forgetting anything?
I'm not going to, because I will say that he is not because he was also in Arthur Christmas too.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I will say though, he was in the Romeo and Juliet movies that Disney made.
Who did he play in that one?
I'm pretty sure he played Romeo. Yes, he did.
Oh,
those movies are awful. But I will say is that even though they're terrible, he was still hands down incredible for them.
He tried.
Charles Xavier in this film is depicted as a close friend of Eric Lensher until their differing views of mutant kind, place, and humanity create a skirmish between them that basically fissures and expands throughout the movie.
Pretty much.
McCoy was the very first person that Matthew Vaughn wanted as Charles Xavier, and after being cast, auditioned with every actor considered for Magneto to test the actor's chemistry. So basically, they picked up McAvoy first, and then they had him run through every single Magneto audition.
Oh, good lord.
Until they finally came upon Michael Fassbender and said, okay, these two are good, let's keep it going.
Yeah, because I will admit, you really see their young friendship really growing. There's also tangents in our talking about Fassbender as Magneto. They've got a strong bond, and shows you that they have sort of same views, but then it all falls apart when Cuba comes around.
Yep, basically. McAvoy admitted that he had never read any Marvel comic books or any comic books as a child, but that he was a massive fan of the X-Men animated series. While he describes the older versions of Charles Xavier, played by Patrick Stewart, as a monk, a selfless, egoless, almost sexless force for the betterment of humanity and mortality.
What?
He says that his version of Xavier is a very different person. It is quite fun because the complete opposite of that is an ego-fueled, sexed-up, self-serving jackass. And I
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it basically shows that he's playing the exact opposite of Charles Xavier because he's not Professor X yet. He's just a young dude trying to make the world a better place, and all young people are reckless at some point or another.
Sadly, that's true.
Okay, so basically, McAvoy admitted to feeling very much similarities between the Xavier and Magneto dynamic, the same way that people make comparisons to Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X.
That's right, yeah.
And of course, I would certainly have to agree with them, if I'm being completely honest, stating that the film sort of like meeting them at a point where they are still finding out who they are, and you are still seeing some of the events that shaped them. McAvoy explicitly stated that he did not want to make any callbacks to Patrick Stewart's performances in the previous films, basically saying that he wanted to make his performance wholly genuine to himself and himself only. Basically, as Matthew Vaughn told him and Michael Fassbender, to only take the illusion of Xavier and Magneto's old friendship in the other movies as inspiration, but do not do what Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart had previously done. And
no problem.
Yep, definitely I can see that. Matthew Vaughn stated that since he considered that Professor X was a bit of a sanctimonious, boring character. Matthew Vaughn said that Professor X is one of the most boring Marvel characters out there.
Well, I mean...
Yep, and he's got too much freaking power. He's too OP, he basically said.
Well, he is one of the most powerful telepaths in the Marvel Universe, so...
The script would try to make a young Xavier more interesting by making him more of a rogue element. who would become more responsible as his mission of finding more mutants went on. Basically starting him from the bottom to build him up in the other 3 prequel films.
Makes sense.
Yep, so all in all, I'll definitely say that James McAvoy's performance as Charles Xavier was very enjoyable, and it would continue to be enjoyable, even as the film series started to collapse on itself.
Yeah, but now here's the question here. Do you prefer McAvoy's Xavier or Patrick Stewart? Which one did it better?
That's almost like saying which was a better Star Trek protagonist, William Shatner or Patrick Stewart. That's almost like it's such a hard decision because they both did such a phenomenal job.
Really? Because I say Picard over Kirk with that statement.
I still say Kirk was better than Picard, but maybe I'm just a nuts for 60s nostalgia.
Fine.
But of course, if I'd have to say, I like them both the same for different reasons. Like, that's basically how I feel about that.
Same for different reasons. There's supposed to be something wrong with that, but I'll buy it.
Basically, I love Patrick Stewart's version of Charles Xavier because he's a perfect representation of an already established character. They wanted him to be exactly like he was in the comics. Old, wise, but not perfect. But still with a heart of gold with many dark secrets. This version of Charles Xavier, played by James McAvoy, basically took him from the lowest point in his life to where he found out exactly what he wanted to do with his life and to become the best version of him against all hardship, of course.
Pretty much, yeah.
Basically meeting failure head on and doing whatever he could to save the world, even if he got no recognition for it. In fact, he basically lost the ability to walk, sacrificed his legs to save the world. And of course, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm not the biggest fan of Charles Xavier myself, but I cannot deny the man is noble as hell.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So I would definitely give James McAvoy's performance a thumbs up.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, now on to one of my favorite performances of all 13 of these films, Michael Fassbender as Eric Lensher, Magneto.
Yes. Are we both going to agree that he was better than Ian McKellen?
I don't want to say that either.
Because there are parts of Ian McKellen's Magneto that are really amazing.
I know, but he's so good in this too for also different reasons.
It's hard. Yeah, the way Fassbender plays Magneto, you can tell he's the grown man building up that rage of witnessing his mother die right in front of him. He kind of goes a dark Batman route and wants to kill the Nazi soldier who did it.
Well, of course, that's very much justifiable. But I will say, this movie does do an excellent job of making Eric Lensher a believably empathetic character. You know why he wants to murder the humans, because the one best thing about the X-Men movies that I always see, they always show humans in the worst possible light.
Pretty much, yeah.
They never hold anything back by saying that, yeah, humanity was both the best and worst of God's creations. Let me tell you that.
Yeah,
right
kind of reflective of today.
Yep, so I will, let's see what I can find about this. So basically he becomes Charles's friend and ally until their philosophies create a fissure between the two. Fassbender had auditioned for an earlier Matthew Vaughn movie, and the director had remembered him and sent him the script for X-Men First Class. Michael Fassbender knew very little about the X-Men, but he became interested in the part after reading the script and familiarizing himself with the character of Magneto by, of course, reading the comics. Fassbender, who considered Magneto as a Machiavellian character who is not good, not evil, he's only himself. And of course,
interesting.
He is above all that. He's above good and evil. And I'm thinking to myself, I love characters like that.
How are you above good and evil?
I've seen a few villains in shows and games and movies who would think of themselves as above good and evil.
Good example?
Well, look, because there's a villain in one of my favorite video game series in the second game of their 4-game franchise. And
I getcha.
And she is very much a character who believes herself to be just right, and by the actions that she does, simply because she has the power to do literally whatever she wants. And of course, And of course, Magneto is very much in the very same like about that. He actually watched Ian McKellen's performances to get the flavor of Magneto, but of course ultimately chose to paint a new canvas with the character. Just going on my own way and working with whatever is in the comic books and the script.
And that kind of paid off.
And I do love how, this is really funny that I honestly didn't know. Matthew Vaughn later commented that Magneto is straight up cool. He's Han Solo, while Professor X is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think that is so true.
How?
Because Professor X is literally the character who believes fully in what he's doing. He knows that there's an ultimate plan in place for the ultimate unification of harmony. Magneto says, I don't care what powers are at play. I'm going to take whatever I want, and no matter what happens, I will come out on top.
Now I think about it, you do bring up a good point.
Yeah, it's so cool. I never thought about it like that. Oh my god! I'll basically say that Fassbender's anger in this movie is so believable.
Yeah, it seems really genuine.
Yeah, I will say that he definitely has some of my favorite moments in all of these movies.
Absolutely, and that kind of carries over to the later movies, even though some of them are not the best. He still manages to be the standout of them.
Yep, I will basically say I've seen so many of Michael Fassbender's high and lows in films that honestly I would not hesitate to watch any film of his in the future. Basically saying is how I've seen a lot of. Let me just run down a bunch of the movies I've seen him in. Believe it or not, his first film was actually 300.
Really?
Yeah.
That movie from Zack Snyder?
Exactly.
Wow.
I'm thinking that was his very first film ever. He was
Remember,
in
300 came out in when?
2007.
Right, 2007. Got it.
Yep. He was in Inglourious Bastards, the Tarantino movie.
Oh yeah.
He was in the Jonah Hex film. Which
Seriously?
Which I will not hold him against him at all. I refuse to hold it against any of the actors because that movie was not a win, no matter how you look at it. I know he was in this movie. Obviously, he was in the two Alien prequels.
Seriously?
Which I'm thinking is like, okay, he was definitely one of the better parts in those movies, even though only the first one is really good. He was in 12 Years a Slave, which I have yet to see, but
same here.
But I hear is amazing. He was in a film version of Macbeth from 2015.
Seriously?
He played Steve Jobs in the Steve Jobs biopic from 2015.
That was him?
Yeah, which I'm thinking, that was nuts. And of course, I did see him in the Assassin's Creed film from 6 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Which was one of the worst films I've ever seen.
I'm guessing the typical video game movie bad thing?
No, that's the thing, is like, it's not even a video game movie. Like, if you took out the title Assassin's Creed, I would never have been able to tell that this was an Assassin's Creed film adaptation at all.
Okay.
I do want to see him in this film from 2017 called The Snowman. Like, with him starring alongside Val Kilmer in that.
Oh,
because I would
God.
personally love to do that one day, but needless to say, I've seen his best and some of his worst, without a single shadow of a doubt. And this definitely giving one of the best comic book performances of all time.
I'd say so, yeah.
So I give Michael Fassbender the thumbs up, my friends.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. Oh my goodness. Okay, I keep forgetting that she she was in this movie. I do want to talk about her, but I also want to talk about Mr. Sebastian Shaw. Kevin Bacon in a comic book movie. Now, I've seen a lot of his films from many, many years ago. My favorite movie of his was Animal House.
Oh,
Let
yeah.
me tell you, he was fantastic in that, even though he was basically one of the background characters. He still managed to stand out with his frickin' nose.
Yep.
But I will say, this dude managed to pull out one of the most characters and make him memorable in all the right ways.
I mean, he's an on-again, off-again Avenger, so...
Yep. Basically, he plays the former Nazi and the leader of the Hellfire Club, a secret society bent on taking over the world. Normally, that shit is boring as hell, but this movie makes the taking over the world plot amazing.
Of course!
Yep. The producer Lauren Donner said that Kevin Bacon was considered for Shaw for being an actor who could convey a villain with different shades. That's not always clear that he's the bad guy or not. Basically, they wanted somebody who looked like a good guy but could very easily be evil at the drop of a hat.
So, paint him in a gray light instead of black or white.
Yeah, which I'm thinking that's excellent.
I get that. That sounds
love it.
interesting.
Matthew Vaughn added that Kevin Bacon had that bravado that Shaw needed, while stating that the actor was his top choice alongside Colin Firth, who would later go on to work with him on the Kingsman movies.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm thinking, Colin Firth is good, but I think he was way too old to play Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah, I give you that.
Even back when this film came out over 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Bacon accepted the role as he was a fan of Vaughn's film Kick-Ass, which you and I both love to see.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I can't wait for us to cover that someday,
That's
too.
going to be fun.
It's going to be so excellent. And liked both the character of Shaw and the script, which he described as a fresh look at the franchise, but also the comic book movies in general. The actor considered that Shaw was a sociopath to whom the morality of the world did not apply, with, of course, Simon Kingsburg adding that Kevin Bacon portrayed him as somebody who, in his mind, is the hero of the movie, someone who is making the world a better place by taking out the trash.
Alright then.
Oh, I love characters like that so very much. Bacon also said that aside from the kind of evil side, I portrayed him as kind of a Hugh Hefner type, which of course
Really?
I can definitely see him, like lording around in these clubs surrounded by beautiful women, thinking himself to be above everybody else simply because he has the means to be. Vaughn discarded Shaw's look from the comics as he felt that he was, let's face it, and he looked exactly like an Austin Powers villain.
Did he?
Yeah, which I think is
God.
like, yeah, I can't deny that. So basically, I don't mind changing the look of a comic character for a movie as long as you improve on what was already there. And let me tell you, hiring Kevin Bacon was a stroke of genius. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that says so.
The dude is extremely compelling and conveys every scene perfectly right to the bitter end. And of course, officially defeating him at the perfect moment when he would be defeated. And everything is like, oh, that is so freaking fantastic. I'd have to say, if you guys love Kevin Bacon, this is an excellent addition to his filmography, without a single shadow of a doubt. It showed me that even the most generic of actors, who have been in some of my most favorite films, do have the capacity to be good in superhero films. You just have to give everybody a try first and see what happens.
Absolutely.
So I would definitely give Sebastian Shaw the thumbs up for being one of the best X-Men villains of the 13 films.
Oh, yeah.
Without a single shadow of a doubt. Now we can officially get to Moira McTaggart. Rose Byrne. Man, I see her in so much, but she's one of the most forgettable actresses I have ever seen.
She's like one of those that really gets lost in the shuffle.
I know, she's so pretty, she's talented, she's such a kind person, and she always does the best she possibly can. I think that she was in that film Jexy from 2 years ago as the villain.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
She was in that.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Jexy's basically a movie about a phone trying to kill you.
Yeah, basically. And I'm just like, thinking to myself, like, she's been in a lot of movies. I've seen Like a Boss, the Peter Rabbit movies, Instant Family, I Am Mother, stuff like that. Like Insidious 4,
great.
Neighbors 2. Both of the Neighbors movies, actually. The 2014 Annie. Actually, I better stop.
Yeah.
So needless to say, she does an excellent job with what she's given. The problem is, I don't really think she's all that, like, great. Like, it's like, I do like what she does, I just don't remember her. Like, she's not a memorable actress.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah.
I thought you were trying to, like, but, I mean, her take on Moira McTaggart is okay.
You know what, we didn't get much of her in the original X-Men 3, so you know what, the fact that they gave her much more in this, and when later give a little bit more for her later on, I can definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, it's just that, there is that inconsistency that, well, in the comics, Moira McTaggart is Scottish, but...
yeah, that's another thing.
But, look, I'm not complaining about that. This is fine. And making her a CIA agent instead of just, like, a doctor who helps mutants... Not a bad change.
I'm thinking about it because Rose Byrne is Australian. And then about it, like, I would have thought it would be so funny to have an Australian trying to emulate a Scottish accent.
That probably would have been a disaster.
Absolutely. Rose Byrne said that she was unfamiliar with both the comics and the film series, except for what a juggernaut of a film it was. And of course, saying so very strange right there. The actress was believe it or not, the actress was cast very late into production, which had already begun to film by the time that she was cast. So, which of course would show why that for a huge chunk of the movie she seems so distant from everybody. It's because production was already well underway. They had to get things going before they even hired her.
Yikes.
And of course, yeah, it does seem weird. Show why she's so disconnected from a lot of the characters except for Charles and Eric. Yeah. And of course, the actor was cast late. McTaggart was described by Byrne as a woman in a man's world. She's very feisty and ambitious. She's got a toughness about her, which I liked.
Makes sense.
And of course, that does seem to be very much in tune with Moira McTaggart's character.
Yeah.
She had a lot of excellent moments in this movie, which... I don't think this is very much held in as much regard as it probably should be, but the fact that she was half responsible for crippling Charles must have been ultimately crushing.
Yeah.
The fact is, like, I do think that, like, Charles loved Moira among all the women in the world, and the fact to have her be the one to technically paralyze him, even though it was also totally Magneto's fault. Basically, the fact of the matter is, like, I love how he never seemed to blame her for it. Like, I absolutely shows that's the depth of his compassion. If, of course, she had paralyzed Magneto, he would have totally crushed her under a lead brick. But nope, it shows that Charles is the bigger person, despite being confined to a stomach-high wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that about their relationship, how we see them becoming the closest of friends and possible lovers before the whole memory wipe thing happened. So So I do think that the tragedy of Moira and Professor X is a very interesting one. The X-Men comics don't have the biggest batch of memories for me, but I still appreciate moments like this.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I will give Moira McTaggart's performance from Rose Byrne a middle thumb right here.
I'd say middle thumb too.
I would say middle thumb right there. So she did a very good job in this movie, just not enough memorable moments for my liking.
Yeah.
So let us see who is exactly next, because another person in this movie, I actually totally forgot that she was in here, but I will cover her after the next big name. Is, of course, Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique.
Yeah, so they got a different actress to play Mystique in this movie.
Yeah, just like they did with all the other characters. We forgot to mention Jennifer Lawrence. Now, I have very mixed feelings when it comes to Jennifer Lawrence in a lot of the projects I've seen her in.
What?
She has the capacity to be stunning. Absolutely amazing. The next Sigourney Weaver or Carrie Fisher, possibly.
Right.
But it's like, I don't really know. It's like, she seems like one of those actresses who has immense talent, but picks and chooses when to use it. Like, I'm just saying is how if you're being in a project, you should give your all no matter what. Because if you decide to be in something, it is your job as an entertainer to entertain the masses to the best of your ability, regardless of the limitations of the script and the production.
And I'm guessing it didn't go so hot.
Well, no, for like this movie, and okay, so she's in 2 of these. She is in 4 of the 13 movies. Jennifer Lawrence plays Mystique, and for 2 of those 4 movies, she is honest to God amazing, giving a very in-depth, invested performance that shows that she is this character, that she is all in. And then somewhere in the back half of the 13, she really just lost it, and she became one of my least favorite actors in all of these movies. So I will definitely say, but however, in the terms of the context of X-Men First Class, Jennifer Lawrence did a pretty good job. So I will say for this film individually, she had enough twists and turns and enough head scratches to keep me invested.
And that didn't carry on for one specific film.
Yep. After the dramatic film that she had been in named Winter's Bone from 2010, Lawrence sought out First Class to do something a little bit lighter. Despite having seen none of the other X-Men films, the actress watched them as she was auditioning for these movies and quickly became a fan of all 4 of them at the time, which led her to accept the role as well.
Did I hear the right? Fan of all 4?
Yeah, one was like, no, she watched all 4 to become a fan of the movies.
Okay, because I was going to say, fan of all 4, please.
And of course, she jumped at the prospect to work with up-and-coming actors like Fassbender, McCoy, and directors like Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn said that Jennifer Lawrence was picked because she could pull off the challenging dichotomy that Raven faces as she transforms into Mystique. That vulnerability that shields a powerful inner strength. And it's like, yeah, because Raven is so vulnerable in these movies. She's so self-conscious. And
pretty much.
And it definitely drives her to want to believe in Magneto's cause because she wants to live in a world where she doesn't have to hide her true blue form.
And Magneto lets her.
Exactly. It just shows that, yes, he believes in a world of people being themselves regardless of discrimination, even though the fact he is being discriminatory against actual humans. Which I'm thinking...
Hypocrite?
Yeah, to some extent, but then again, all those who are power matter are hypocritical in one form or another.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so talk about that. Jennifer Lawrence had some reservations about her performance due to the incredible previous portrayal by Rebecca Romijn from the original trilogy, as she considered Rebecca to be the most gorgeous person in the world. And she would honestly be right. Let me tell you, because she did have a very amazing stage presence.
I'll give you that.
I know that we didn't look at Mystique too much in the original trilogy reviews, but she was definitely a standout among the other.
Yeah, because now we're going to deal with a movie where Mystique is more in the spotlight.
Yep, and basically they felt that their performance were very contrasting, feeling that her own, Jennifer Lawrence's, was sweet and naive, while, of course, Miss Rebecca R's was sultry and mean, the person that she would later become later on in life.
Yep.
Unless, of course, their destinies were changed somehow.
Yeah, I wonder how that would happen.
Jennifer Lawrence went on a diet and had to work out for 2 hours daily to keep in shape. And for Mystique's blue form, Lawrence had to undergo an 8-hour makeup process, similar to that of Rebecca from the original trilogy.
Oh, great.
Which, of course, that was all practical. And I'm thinking, it looks practical.
Yeah, at least it looks a little better.
I love that. The first day with the makeup even caused blisters to appear on Lawrence's upper body that they had to quickly reverse and find some way else to get the blue scales on her.
Oof.
So it's like,
look what they did, right?
Yes, yeah, because I'm pretty sure. Believe it or not, Rebecca actually had a brief uncredited cameo in the movie as like a older Raven from the future.
Oh my god!
Believe it. Matthew Vaughn added as an in-joke in the script as Raven becoming Marilyn Monroe, like an older sex icon of those times. So it's like basically.
What the heck?
I think that what he means by that is Rebecca played a character that Jennifer Lawrence, aka Mystique, saw in this movie and sees, that's somebody who she wants to become. She wants to feel beautiful with her body and be totally cool with what everything is. And I'm like, now that
I think about it, that actually sounds kind of funny.
Yeah, you know what, girl? Yes. Be proud of who you are. Just don't hurt people, please.
Yeah, that's not how you want to do it. That's like out of spite.
Oh my god. So I will say, even though I would not become a fan of Jennifer Lawrence as the film series would go on, she did have a very good, strong start here. Even though I'm thinking maybe her relationship with Beast was a bit odd. But it's like, okay, this film is trying a bunch of new things. I might as well add it to the pile of new things that this film would add. The fact is that Beast and Raven had this romance that was never mentioned in the third movie at all. It's like, it feels like they're playing hot potato with the frickin' continuity, for better or for worse.
Yeah, pretty much.
However, I will say that Jennifer Lawrence had a bunch of stellar, incredible acting moments, from her relationship with her foster brother to becoming Magneto's confidant to all the other relationships with all the other X-Men and human characters. I definitely was very much happy to see Jennifer Lawrence in this role for however long that lasted. So I'll say that I'll give Jennifer Lawrence the thumbs up for now, although it may teeter later on.
Who knows?
Let's take a look, see who else we got to cover for the actors. Maybe one or two other people before we give them the rest of the cameo treatment. Oliver Platt is actually man in the I'm trying to think. Yes, Oliver Platt played one of the CIA agents. I'm trying to remember exactly who he is until I remembered. Oh yeah, I think that he's Ben Platt's father. No, maybe.
Maybe.
It's like I honestly don't know who this guy is because I feel like I should know because I should have seen him in more things. Because
is it weird that I kind of remember something he was in, yet I never watched myself?
What was it?
He played a fairy god person on a Sesame Street Cinderella adaptation.
Really? This dude, right?
Yeah, he played the fairy god person to Elmo, who was in the main lead.
Oh my god!
Because the spin-off's called Cinder Elmo, and I think, it had him, it had Kathy and Jimmy, it had a few notable actors, and of course the Sesame Street Muppets. It was weird.
Oh my goodness, freaking crazy. Basically, Oliver Platt's character is the head of Division X, which is the original headquarters of the X-Men.
Basically, Mora's boss.
Yep. Matthew Vaughn had considered his friend Dexter Fletcher for the part, but Dexter Fletcher declined to go direct his film Wild Bill, so Oliver Platt was put into the role instead. To be honest, I really didn't think he was all that great.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, though, he wasn't in the movie for that long, so that's why.
No, I really can't do too much with him, so I'll give him the fine middle thumb, if I'm being honest. Then, of course, January Jones as Emma Frost. Oh my goodness. God. This woman right here, stellar. Absolutely amazing.
And considering Emma Frost's powers and abilities, oh boy.
It's actually crazy that I did see her in a film a few years afterwards in 2013 called Sweetwater, and which was basically Game of Thrones in the Old West.
Really?
Basically, like you could say very much a predecessor to Westworld.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll say the movie was not very good compared to this film, but dang, did she try her hardest in all of it.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, I'm still completely just blown away by it all. So I will definitely say. Emma Frost's portrayal in this movie was stellar, shiny, sleek. It was incredible.
Figuratively and literally with the shiny bit, because one of her powers, she can manipulate her body to become pure diamond.
Oh my, yeah, especially considering that January Jones described the revealing costumes that she wore in this movie as insane. She's got quite the bod, which is very intimidating. It's like, I have to say, it's like, okay, so like, what you're saying is she's being intimidating with how beautiful she is.
Well,
I can definitely, believe that because I still stand by what I said. The 50s and 60s definitely had some of the most beautiful feminine outfits of the entire American history.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
The 50s and 60s is where beauty peaked. And it's been ever since.
Kind of a bit bumpy.
Yeah.
70s, 80s, 90s, modern day.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'd be talking about right there. January Jones stated that she did only a limited exercise routine to keep in shape, as that she's a very petite person. So she didn't want to go into a strict workout and eating regimen because she was already so skinny. So
I guess that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I absolutely love that so much. Basically, she can turn her body into hard diamond. That is an amazing power.
Yeah, and Emma Frost is also a telepath.
Yeah.
And it's been known in Marvel Comics continuity, her telepathic powers is almost on par with that of Professor X.
What about Jean Grey?
Jean's a step above.
Yeah, was that kind of...
Well, to be fair though, Emma's also almost on par with Jean, but not by much.
Is it true that Emma does become a good guy after a while?
Yes, because in the comics, she after not being a part of the Hellfire Club for a while, she eventually joined the X-Men and became a teacher at the school.
Which I think would have been great if they used that for a later movie, but they never did.
They didn't capitalize on it. What the heck, Fox?
They never brought her back, even though they could have had her as a good person. I would have loved to see the dynamics there, and you know what? Give me enough time, folks, to think about how that could have made the later movies so much better, maybe even gotten them more money to save the film franchise after a while.
Yeah, plus, I mean, come on. I guess we can agree that Emma Frost in the movies is a great character with missed potential.
I know, because
she only appears in this movie.
Yeah,
nowhere else.
Which
sucks.
It's like she does such a great job being an intimidating, supporting antagonist, which could have become a major villain and possible hero in the future. However, I will say with what little she was given, January Jones did a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
So I'll definitely give her the up as a single movie role.
We are going to ignore the fact she tried to seduce a man to try to,
Oh, yeah.
That scene was weird.
It was definitely weird, but it was X-Men weird, and I have to...
What is X-Men weird to you?
Basically, it's very weird, very, very random, very ahead of the times. Basically something that would be appreciated years later.
Yeah, people thought the 70s were weird.
Exactly. So basically, we went through all those people, went through Jennifer Lawrence, Oliver Platt. Riptide was also fine, as well as Azrael. They're basically...
Yeah, generic villains.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy to think that all these different characters have a lot of different stuff going on with them, including Riptide's actor enjoyed playing a villain, as most of his film roles in Spain were good guys, and he wanted to play a bad guy.
I get that.
What
about the guy who played Azrael?
He was actually previously considered for the role of Beast in the third movie before
being replaced by Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah,
really.
Which I think you know what. That would not have been... I really love Kelsey Grammer, but if this guy had been chosen, it would have been just as good.
But although when you say Azrael, I'm thinking, no, I gotta remember, it's not DC Azrael. This is a Marvel Azrael. Jeez.
Oh my gosh. So basically,
the whole
Azrael's actor tried to imply that Azrael is Russian to partly explain his pleasure in killing the American Asians. Agents, I mean.
Okay.
The actor spent 8 weeks with fighting training, particularly with swords, and had to undergo a 4-hour makeup process. Which I love this movie too. The makeup is all practical.
That is very true, yeah.
It's I love practical makeup more than I will ever love CGI makeup.
Yeah, but some CGI makeup can be good.
I know, sometimes. It's just I will never fully appreciate it because I grew up on the 20th century movies where we didn't need that crap to make great movies.
You got that right.
Oh my goodness. So basically, believe it or not, they had special motion things, but they didn't... Okay, so Azrael's tail was CGI though. So basically, aside from all the other stuff that they did have him use that was actually there, the tail, alongside with Nightcrawler's tail from the second movie, was also CG.
Yeah.
It's I get you. Donner considered that the problems with the shade of red on Azrael's skin, some looked like the devil, some looked like a man wearing red paint, was basically overcome by adding scars that made him more human, eyes brighter than his own, and a black mane of hair that seemed to tie everything together.
Makes
which
sense.
I think was absolutely excellent. So now let's try and go through a few more other actors at light speed, including Darwin, Banshee, and Angel.
Oh my God, they were honestly really good.
Yeah, I know. Let me just start off with a Zoe Kravitz as Angel. She did a fantastic job.
Yes!
I love Zoe Kravitz in a lot of the movies I've seen her in, including, I'm pretty sure, the Divergent film series, the most recent outing, the Batman films, and of course, her appearances in the first two Fantastic Beasts movies. My problems with those aside, she did do the best that she could.
Who did Zoe Kravitz play in the Fantastic Beasts movies again?
Lita.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Lita Strange. Okay.
She was Lita.
Yeah, we'll eventually get to all the Wizarding World movies, but that's a whole other thing.
Yep. So basically, the makeup team took 4 hours to basically apply the wing tattoos that would eventually become CG so that she can fly. Which I'm thinking, man, there was so much freaking time.
Yeah, but
to the
trust
makeup.
me, she does not have angel wings. She's a pixie.
Yeah, she got pixie wings. That's what I was thinking. What's my issue with her name being Angel? Mostly because she's a stripper. I would call a stripper Angel if I got the chance.
I'm sure that. But she has pixie wings.
Yep. The visual effects team had to erase the tattoo every day in case the scene required Angel to have the CG wings. So basically, they had to paint it on, then take it off so often.
That must have caused a lot of skin irritation.
Yep. To basically depict her flying, Zoe Kravitz stood on elevated platforms and was dangled on wires. Which, of course, that definitely doesn't make sense. She did her own stunts, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So her turn to evil is pretty quick, and honestly, it very much leads to very little, if I'm being honest. But
yeah.
I didn't think it was too out of character,
really?
Because exactly like Magneto and Shaw, she really didn't like humans because they treated her like a prize to be won.
I guess you have a point.
Yeah, why would she want to fight for a race that treated her badly?
I feel like her turn to the dark side seemed a bit too
quick.
I feel like I wanted to be more gradual. Like have her stay with the X-Men for the rest of the movie, and then for the next one, have her turn to the dark side.
Yeah, or basically have her become a villain in the third act instead of the second act. Something.
Yeah, do that.
Basically, just have when they go on the mission, have her betray them during the final fight instead of right before the final fight.
There you go.
See, that would have been excellent. So I'll definitely give her the thumbs up for her one movie appearance.
Yeah, totally.
So now let's talk about Banshee. Banshee is one of my low-key favorite X-Men characters, even though he's so simple. That's the thing. He's simply a dude who can scream and fly. Because this dude uses his voice and a wingsuit to fly.
Basically, him screaming the sound waves pretty much act like a little bit of a rocket booster to him to make him fly.
Exactly. And I found it to be so absolutely nuts. Basically, Sonic Blast, Sonic Burst, Sonic Waves. This guy's
Sonic Blooms.
Literally a Sonic machine. Which I'm thinking, I do personally love to write characters whose powers come from their voices with your superpowered Sonic Blast.
Yeah, because you're used to characters like Black Canary.
Yeah, exactly, like that. And Black Bolt as well.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, Banshee's actor auditioned without even knowing what X-Men character he was going to be. He just wanted to be in the movie, saying that he auditioned because it was a superhero movie that filled his biotype. He has red hair and freckles. He was never going to be Batman or Spider-Man. It was
that's fair.
Oh, that's sorry, mate. But you know what? Thankfully, superheroes are a archetype that anybody can fit into, regardless of what you look like.
Oh yeah.
The actor also stated that the script defined the character more than the comics, as Banshee went through various reinventions during the process. Given Banshee gets involved with Dr. Matager more in the comics, Banshee's actor also tried to look at her just a little bit differently, when I could.
Yeah.
Basically, Banshee's actor suffers from acrophobia, I believe. He actually has the fear of heights. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
It was actually crazy. The actor was also scared of heights.
Oh, that's fitting.
Which I think was absolutely crazy. Using the rig that was depicted as Banshee's flying required much of preparation time because it took him so long to actually get into the harness, believe it or not. It's freaking get in the harness, you have to fly today, and he was really not up to the task, but I think that made it a lot more believable with him. He had to grow into the character he would eventually play on screen, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I do like, because I do like the little relationship between Banshee and Mora from the comics. Not too much, of course, because it's like mostly like a boyfriend bounce back from a bad marriage relationship.
Yeah.
But of course, I do think it's very nice enough.
Yeah.
And of course, let's talk about arguably the worst performance and then like the worst hand-me-down ending to a character in any of these 13 movies, Darwin. Let me tell you.
To be fair, the actor they got for him, he did a good job.
He did stellar. Like, I'll be saying
just
this like...
because he had to die to carry on the movie? What the heck, man?
Exactly. It's so bullshit. Like, I can't even believe, like... I mean, I get it. It's one of those things that comics do to show that the villain is super awesome. You have to have him kill characters very easily. You could have had him kill anybody else. You could have had him kill, like, the freaking leader of the CIA Division X. That would have been freaking great. Like, here the shows that, you know...
No, you had to kill the mutant that could adapt to any environment and not adapt to dying.
Yep. Basically, he is a reactive... He has the ability to reactive... evolution, basically.
Like there's one scene where he puts his hand inside a fish tank and his arm grows gills.
Which I think that is so freaking awesome.
Yeah, which also makes him an overpowered mutant.
Yeah, it's like, man, I don't care.
He's like around Omega level, which is really great.
Believe it or not, he was actually cast to play Agent Zero in X-Men Origins Wolverine. The dude with the sniper who killed the old couple.
Thank God he didn't.
Yeah, thank God he didn't. He was in a much better movie with this.
Oh yeah, not for long.
He actually read for Banshee while auditioning for First Class and only learned that he was playing Darwin a few days before they were set to shoot. The actor worked out and entered an eating regimen to get in shape, and also researched the comics about his character. All of Darwin's transformations throughout the movie, including his skin turning to concrete, getting gills, were done through were of course done through CGI. It was really good CGI.
Probably some of the best CGI in the movie.
$150 million definitely went to the best of effects for this movie.
Oh yeah, I bet about maybe like a good 200,000 went to that.
Yep, this dude was definitely one of the best parts of the movie. He just got such the shaft at the end, though. So he's ultimately Darwin. However you pronounce your name, I'm going to try. Edie Gathage. So
that sounds about right.
I will see, like, what other movies was he in? Personally, he was in the he was in Gone Baby Gone, the Twilight movies.
Oh no.
He was in the AMC series Into the Badlands, which I do recommend. If y'all got AMC, go watch that show.
Yeah, especially if you got AMC Plus.
Yep. So I'll definitely say thumbs up for him. One of the best performances in any of these movies.
Yeah, his death is the main problem with this movie.
Yep. Of course, we got a bunch of other stuff, including, believe it or not, we actually see William Stryker's father, which I'm thinking that is absolutely crazy, played by freaking Don Creech. Which I'm thinking, oh, okay, that seems like a very nice. Believe it or not, the character also appears in X2, Origins Wolverine, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse. Believe it or not, Michael Ironside was also in this movie. I don't remember who he played, though, honestly.
Oh, my God.
And of course, we also talked about Hugh Jackman's one incredible line. Which
so
was
fun.
Absolutely great.
And just like one of the highlights of the movie.
Basically, believe it or not, Hugh Jackman said that he accepted the offer to do the cameo because it sounded perfect to me.
Yeah, because...
how could he say no to that?
Yeah, because I bet the meeting like this. We want you to cameo as Wolverine. Okay. You get to drop the F-bomb. I'm in!
Believe it or not, like, he loved, particularly for the fact that Wolverine is the only one that gets is the first character in any of these movies to use that swear.
Yeah, eventually that'll go to Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool, and more so to Wolverine himself in later movies. But of course, he would basically pioneer it. And of course, I don't want to forget Lucas Till as a Havoc. Because this dude was actually in a lot of movies that I hardly have ever seen.
The only movie I remember him from was the Hannah Montana movie.
He was in that, wasn't it?
Yes.
Like, that's absolutely crazy. He was in the freaking Spy Next Door with Jackie Chan.
Oh, really? He was in that movie?
Basically, he was in the Nickelodeon movie Monster Truck, which I'm thinking to myself, like Monster Trucks.
Oh yeah.
He also played MacGyver in the.
That's right. He was in the MacGyver show.
Oh my goodness. So it's like, this dude is clearly a very talented actor from Texas. But of course, his like, your portrayal in this is like, okay, so it shows that the Summers bloodline is very heavily rooted in the mutant gene.
Well, considering the fact that their father's kind of,
Yeah, exactly.
That's a whole other thing, though.
I'll say this. So Havoc's power is that he's able to blast out lasers from his chest, right?
That and also create rings to attack people with.
Yeah, which I think is cool.
Havoc.
Yeah, which I'm thinking that's absolutely crazy.
He's a powerful mutant. Not Omega level, but he's like one of those mutants that is like one of the heavy hitters.
The Summers bloodline is definitely one of the most powerful ones in all of the continuity.
Because you got him, you got Scott, who's got the optic blasts that are just really hot.
Yeah,
and aren't there 3 brothers?
I think there is, but I don't honestly remember what was the other one. The producers told Havoc's actor Lucas Till that his audition served for both Havoc and Beast, and that the actor replied that despite his lifelong dream of playing a superhero, "I know that you'll kill me, but if I get Beast, I'm not in the movie. I'm not going through that makeup every day." So basically, he actually auditioned for they said that he could play both Havoc or Beast. He hard passed Beast and said, just give me Havoc.
Oh
it was
my God.
Believe it or not, though, that comment about him eventually dying in a superhero movie, weird foreshadowing, but we will eventually get there.
Yep.
And then, of course, we can't forget Stan Lee, who basically appeared in both the first and third movies and regularly cameoed in this, explained that he was not able to participate in the filming of X-Men First Class because they simply shot it too far away. I was but of course, had filming of the movie been closer to home, he definitely would have been in the movie.
Yeah, this is like one of the. It's very rare for Stan Lee not to cameo in a Marvel movie.
In the span of his life, anyway.
Oh, yeah, right, of course.
So I basically said that I would have loved it had he been in this movie, but to be honest, I hate to say it, but maybe the film was made better by the fact that he wasn't there. Because
really?
Yeah, because ultimately I love his cameos very, very much, but let's be honest, they kind of hard break the movies sometimes.
That is true. Yeah,
the movies stop.
Yeah, but to be fair, some make sense.
Yeah, some of
others are just out there.
Some of them are blink and you'll miss it. You do appreciate they're there, but had he been in this movie, it would have been far too distracting.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Let me just tell you that much. So, needless to say, the cast of this film was very good overall. Without a single shadow of a doubt, with many iconic moments that would be hailed as some of the best moments of the entire franchise from Fox. Let's now go over a lot of the film wins that this film received.
Sure,
a lot of wins and nominations per se. The film won a Spotlight Award at the National Board of Review Awards. Michael Fassbender won Best Actor at the LA Film Critics Society Awards.
Of course he did.
Zoe Kravitz, Jennifer Lawrence, and Kevin Bacon, basically a bunch of the actors were nominated for Teen Choice Awards in 2011, but didn't win any.
Of course they didn't.
Because the film was also nominated for a Teen Choice Award for Choice Movie of Sci-Fi Fantasy.
Okay.
This movie was nominated for and won a few Scream Awards, actually.
Really?
Believe it or not, the film won Best Fantasy Film at the Scream Awards.
Fantasy? This is mutants.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, actually.
The film was nominated for Ultimate Best Screenplay, which I think that's actually really funny.
It's a pun screenplay?
Screenplay, which I think that's really just to remind you guys, the Scream Awards are basically an award show dedicated to horror, sci-fi, and fantasy movies only.
Yeah, because, there's a horror movie called Scream, so it makes sense.
Yep. Believe it or not, Hugh Jackman actually won a Best Cameo Award at the Scream Awards.
Wait. That's a thing?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which I'm thinking, that is great. He was actually the only actor to win an award at the Scream Awards.
Oh my God.
Which I'm thinking, you know what, though? He totally deserved it, without a single shadow of a doubt. The film was nominated for several People's Choice Awards of 2012, including Jennifer Lawrence's favorite movie superhero, and James McAvoy's another favorite movie superhero.
Okay.
The film was nominated for a favorite People's Choice action movie.
All right.
And of course, last but not least, the film was nominated for a Best Sci-Fi Film at the Saturn Awards, not to mention that the film won a Saturn Award for Best Makeup.
Makes sense.
Which, of course, it very much deserved. But, of course, let's be honest, my friends. If you guys can quote me on anything of the behind-the-screens community, I kind of consider makeup wins to be participation trophies.
Aw, participation.
Yeah.
Well, nice one, Suicide Squad.
Exactly. That's the ultimate example. Winning an Academy Award for makeup is dumb.
Look, the best kind of Oscars to win. Best Picture, Best Animated Film, Best Actor/Actress,
Best Screenplay.
Yes, which honestly, Best Director.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, that's a bit of a stretch, but whatever.
So now, basically, having said all this long-winded stuff about the somewhat complicated plot, but for a 2-hour movie, it's perfectly fine. Very much amazing. Stellar cast, decent amount of awards, and amazing practical and CGI effects for 2011. Chris, how would you boil down 2011's X-Men First Class?
Well, I really like this movie. It's really, honestly... Thank God it saw X-Men's Origins Wolverine and stamped it into the ground because of how bad it was. Yeah. It's like a piece of dog poo lit on fire and needs to be stomped out.
Exactly.
And it turned out to be an amazing... this is how a prequel should be done.
Exactly.
It established some further continuity, kind of got us in a middle area from past the concentration camp at the beginning to up to the present of the original trilogy.
Absolutely.
And introduced a few characters, but to be fair though, it's not perfect.
No.
Like, 1, Angel turning too fast to the dark side.
Yeah.
2, Darwin dying. That can't be possible.
Exactly.
And 3, honestly, some of the CGI hasn't really held up. I will admit, though, some still holds up, like the CGI with Darwin's powers. Mm-hmm. That's really it. And Emma's changing into a diamond, sure.
Especially,
the rest
is hit or miss.
I mean, it's been 10 years, so what are you going to do?
Absolutely.
But overall, I still think this is one of those X-Men movies that I feel is a bit underrated. Not a lot of people talk about this movie.
No,
it's honestly really good, and it graces my top 5 X-Men movies because great characters, great chemistry between the actors. The action is superb, and again, some of the visual effects are really interesting to look at. Again, some of them not aged, but it's still, honestly, I recommend everyone check this out. Let's see if they make this your first X-Men movie because you don't really need to watch the first 4 X-Men movies to understand this one.
But you totally should still.
Well, yeah, but if you're new to the X-Men franchise, you could jump right into here and you'd be fine. There'd be some continuity issues here and there, but what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
But so overall, with that, I have to give X-Men First Class around maybe I want to say an 8.5 out of 10.
Very much so.
Mike, what about you?
I personally really do appreciate it when any film in the modern day can take a past decade and turn it into something straight out of a documentary. This film takes its 60s roots, themes, ideologies, wardrobe, everything to the extreme. On top of everything, the film's story is very nostalgic in the fact that it feels like it's ripped right out of the time period it's set in. Of course, continuing the great themes that the original X-Men movies had about humanity and mutants fighting for a peaceful resolution to living on planet Earth. And of course, seeing the youngest version of all of the heroes that we come to know in the original movies to see where they would eventually lead up. James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender are some of the greatest actors of our generation.
Yep.
And of course, I will simply hail their performances in these movies as some of the best superhero work I have ever seen, without a single shadow of a doubt. Their charisma, their level of depth that they gave these characters, and the amount of comedy, performance, and personality, I still have a hard time seeing to this day. Let me tell you, my friends. So, but of course, this film and a lot of other amazing actors too. Nicholas Hoult as Beast, Rose Byrne as Moira, and especially Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique.
Oh, yeah.
I will have a lot less nice things to say about her later on, but for right now, she had a very good first impression.
Oh, yeah.
Without a single shadow of a doubt. This film is just another in Matthew Vaughn's amazing library that I'll continue to hail him as one of the best comic directors that's not mainstream. Let me tell you.
Yeah, he's not he was one of those that directed comic movies that aren't part of the big two.
No,
the Kingsman movies. Are the Kingsmen Dark Horse?
Yes.
Right, that's what I thought.
As well as with Kick-Ass 2.
That's right, yeah. Oh, no. My Kick-Ass 2 and not the first one.
Yeah, so basically, guys, I loved the characters, the locations, the acting, the music, the directing, the fight scenes. This movie had everything I wanted in an X-Men film and a superhero movie in general. Depth, emotion, heart. It gave me everything I wanted, but it is not a perfect superhero film.
Yeah, because it's rare and no movie's perfect.
Yep. The flaws in here are very small, but they make bigger ripples the more you think about it. For one, of course, I never really considered Zoe Kravitz's turn to the dark side that big of a misstep until I saw this film multiple times. So basically,
I wouldn't call it Dark Knight Rises awful.
No, but still, it's something that should have been to help with they should have held it back a little bit longer and then set her into being a villain later on. And of course, Darwin's death death will always be a dark spot on all 13 of these movies, without a single shadow of a doubt. Changing a character into being a person of color only to kill him, which has been shown to be virtually impossible, is a very big leap. And honestly, one of the biggest early missteps for Fox. But still, regardless of all of that, this film is simply amazing. From its themes of trying to be good in the face of a very disastrous world, and of course looking to a brighter future even though all seems to be going downhill, it honestly really gives me a very good start to this small collection of films that would be the X-Men prequel quadrilogy.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll simply say, my friends, if you enjoyed the first 4 films to varying degrees anyway, you will
emphasis on varying.
You will not be disappointed with 2011's X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Wrong movie.
Wrong movie. The title card is over there. What I'm basically saying is how X-Men First Class, my friends.
Thank you.
It's X-Men First Class. I'll happily give this film a B+ letter ranking.
Gotta hate it. Origins Wolverine as much as people hate One More Day.
It tried to seep its way back into the review, but we pushed it out.
Yeah, but X-Men First Class, thank God, is a good step in the right direction for the X-Men movies.
Definitely a good step. For now, definitely. The films will see a big resurgence in popularity for a few more films before we get to the back half of movies, where we'll have a lot less nicer things to say about how this story would ultimately end. But of course, as of right now, continue to watch the X-Men films with us, my friends. The best is still yet to come.
Oh, totally.
Let me tell you, because mind you, we have not gotten to the best yet. We still have a little bit ways to go.
Yeah, because there are a couple X-Men movies like I still consider better than this one, but we have our moments.
So next time, my friends, we'll be heading back to the realm of TV to do the first half of Ruby Season 3.
Oh boy, that'll be fun. But in our next movie, our next movie is going to be an interesting one.
It'll be, believe it or not, we'll be covering the 5th installment of the DC Cinematic Universe, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting episode and a half, but that'll do it for now. Until next time, I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
And this has been Behind the Screens. We hope you guys all have a great night. Thank you for watching. And may the luck of the Irish be with you on this St. Patrick's Day.
Love your fellow brothers, my friends. And pinch anybody who's not wearing green.
Yeah, right. See you guys.